Good morning, Casa. Welcome to today's story. It's called Skippy John Jones. Every morning, Skippy John Jones woke up with the birds. And this did not please his mother at all. "Get yourself down here. Right now, Mr. Kittenbritches," ordered Mama Junebug Jones. "No self-respecting cat ever slept with a flock of birds," she scolded, "or ate worms, or flew, or did his laundry in Mrs. Doohiggy's bird bath." The lecture went on and on as usual. "You've got to do some serious thinking before you leave this room, Mr. Fuzzy Pants," said his mother, "about just what it means to be a cat, not a bird." Excuse my doggy wagging tail, Rudy. "Not a mouse or a grouse, not a moose or a goose, not a rat or a bat. You need to think about just what it means to be a Siamese cat. And stay out of your closet," she added, closing the bedroom door. But once he was alone, Skippy John Jones began to bounce and bounce and bounce on his big boy bed. "Oh, I'm Skippy John Jones, and I bounce on my bed, and once or 6 times I land on my head." On his way down to earth from a gigantic big bounce, Skippy John Jones shot past his bedroom mirror. "Holy guacamole!" exclaimed Skippy John Jones. What was that? So he went up again, and again it reappeared. Then, using his very best Spanish accent, he says, "My ears are too big for my head. My head is too big for my body. I am not a Siamese cat. I am a Chihuahua." Back on land, Skippy John Jones climbed into his toy box and rifled through some of his old junk. After he put on his mask and sword and climbed onto his mouth, Skippy John Jones began to sing in a muy soft voice. "My name is Skippito Frisquito. I fear not a single bambito. My manners are mellow and sweet like the jello. I get the job done, yes indeedo." Back in the kitchen, Jujubee, Jezebel and Jillyboo Jones were helping Mama Junebug Jones make lunch. "Can Skippy John come out of his room now?" asked Jujubee. "No," answered Mama Junebug Jones. "Mr. Fluffernutter is still thinking." In fact, Skippy John Jones wasn't thinking about being a Siamese cat at all. With a walk into his closet, his thoughts took him down a lonesome desert road far, far away in old Mexico. Not long into his journey, a mysterioso band of Chihuahuas appeared out of the dust. "Ay, caramba! Who goes there?" asked Skippy John Jones. "We go by the name of Los Chimichangos," growled Don Diego, the biggest of the small ones. "Who are you?" "I am El Skippito, the great sword fighter," said Skippy John Jones. Then the smallest of the small ones spoke up. "Why the mosquito, dude?" asked Poquito Tito. "I go incognito," said Skippito. "Do you like rice and beans?" asked Pintolito. "See, I love mice and beans," said Skippito. "He might be the dog of our dreams," whispered Rosalita. "Perhaps," said Tia Mia, "if he knows the secret password." Leaning towards Don Diego, El Skippito half sneezed, half spoke the secret password into the Chihuahua's very large ear. "Ah-choo-pichoo!" "Bless you," said Don Diego. "Gracias," said Skippito. "Then it is true," decreed Don Diego. "Yip, yip, yippito! It's the end of Alfredo Bazito. Skippito is here. We have nothing to fear. Adios to the bad bumblebeeto." Then all of the chimichangos went crazy loco. First they had a fiesta. Then they took a siesta. But after waking up, the chimichangas got down to serious business. Using his paw, Don Diego drew a big, sorry, I've lost my place, picture in the sand of the great Bumblepito for Skipito to see. No, thank you. A hush grew over the chimichangas, so great that one could hear a whisker drop. Alfredo Bozito, whispered the crowd. El blimpo, Bumblebito, bandito. Si, said Poquito Tito. The bandito steals our frijoles. Not your beans, cried Skipito, outraged. Si, Poquito continued. Red beans, black beans, Boston baked and blue, cocoa, coffee, kidney beans, pinto and jelly too. And now he comes for us, Poquito added. ¿Por qué? asked Skipito. Because we are full of the beans too. Then Don Diego stood tall and in his most somber voice declared, Yo quiero frijoles. Huh? asked Skipito. The dude just wants his beans back, said Poquito Tito. And you are the dog for the job. Me? asked Skipito. Then all of the chimichangos turned towards Skipito, the great sword fighter. But poor Skipito had no time for a plan because in the blink of an eye, a gigantic shadow darkened the landscape. The chimichangas scattered in all directions. Vamos, Skipito! It is the bandito, Wilito! They cried. Sorry about this. Okay, you need to stop now. Skipito stood his ground, but his legs shimmied and shook like the jello. And his teeth chattered like the castanets. Then in a muy soft voice he said, My name is Skipito Fritito. I fear not a single bandito. But Alfredo Bozito flew straight for Skipito until the bean-eating bandito hovered only inches away from the great sword fighter's face. Holy frijoles! Cried Skipito as he thrust his sword in the air. Pop! Suddenly landing on Skipito's sword, pop went the bandito, landing on Skipito's sword, and quicker than one could say, chihuahuas, cheese and crackers, every kind of bean came spilling out of Alfredo Bozito, the bumblebee bandito. Then all the doggies burst into song. Yip, yip, yippee! Our hero is El Skipito. He's the dog of our dreams who delivered the beans, and now we can make our burritos. Can you stop? Then out flew Candy, beanbag doggies, and the kitty boy with his birthday piñata on his head. Skippy John Jones, everyone cried. Hola, muchachitas, he said in a muy soft voice. Mama Junebug Jones lifted up Skippy John and covered his head with furry, purry kisses. What am I going to do with you, Mr. Cocoa Pugs, she added. That night when he was supposed to be going to sleep, Skippy John began to bounce and bounce on his big boy bed. Oh, I'm Skippy John Jones with a mind of my own, and I'll bounce on my bed for hours. I know I'm a cat, but forget about that. Say good night, Skippy John Jones, called his mama. Buenos noches, mi amigos, said Skippy John Jones. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Oh,